Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and well, we got a lot going on as we move into this election cycle, and over the next several days here on the Dove, we'll be having quite a few of the candidates in as a special guest. We'll be talking to them about their thoughts and campaign and how things are going. And don't forget, coming out this week in the mail, you'll be getting your very much needed voters pamphlet, and there should be two of them or one of them that deals with the candidates and the ballot measures. And there's quite a few very important measures on the ballot. One is Measure 90, which deals with doing away with the primary system in the state of Oregon. I will say this, that both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party oppose this measure. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere. We'll see. And the other measure is Measure 91. Do we want to legalize marijuana in the state of Oregon? Hugely controversial, as you can imagine. And just to the north of us, Washington State, and of course to the east of us, Colorado, two states that have legalized marijuana only now have lived to regret it, as the law has been very difficult to enforce, and there's just a lot of nonsense going on with that. But nonetheless, it's on the ballot for consideration in the state of Oregon. That is Measure 91. And the other one is Measure 92. If you remember, in Jackson County during the primary cycle, that there was quite a controversy over the GMOs, whether or not GMOs would be, well, whether or not they would be allowed to continue. So that now has gone statewide, and there is a lot of outside money coming in opposing the GMO ban. I really encourage you that when you get your voters pamphlet, take the time to read it. Never fails that once those come out, I get a lot of calls and emails and folks wanting to know, what about this candidate? What about that candidate? How should I vote for this? How should I vote for that? Well, it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what you think and you understand and what you believe. So I really encourage you to take advantage of the resource of the Voter's Guide and read through the sections that deals with the candidates and certainly the ballot measures. One thing you may want to consider is to look at the organizations and the individuals that, that endorse measures and candidates. And that way you get a pretty good feel. Now, if you don't know who they are, sometimes you can Google their name or the organization's name and you can find out who they are and what they stand for. And I highly recommend that. And there are some very contested races out there, as you know, for the U.S. Senate, for the governorship, for a state Senate. Coming up a little bit later this week, we will be broadcasting a forum between Dave Daughter, who's running against sitting incumbent State Senator Alan Bates. Both Senator Bates and Dave Daughter have agreed to come into the studio, and it will be a forum. It will not be a debate. It will be a forum. We'll talk about the issues so that you can hear where they stand on the issues. So we look forward to having that for you a little bit later on as well. So some good things happening. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to try to see if we can connect with our good friend David Crowe. He's the Executive Director of Restore America, and he's been heavily invested in the state of Oregon, and in particular Measure 91, and we'll get an update there when we return.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Welcome back. Well, it's always a delight and an honor to have with us our good friend David Crowe. He is the founder and the president of Restore America, and this man has been very passionate about what goes on in the state of Oregon, from candidates to issues. And let me encourage you to go to Restore America's website and take a look at all the things that he makes available there. Incredible resource, and especially for pastors and elders. Take a look at Restore America website and support them. They're on the front line of the battle, and they do this by grace and by God's goodness, and we just encourage you to support this organization because it is worthy of every a little bit that you can help with. Dave, good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Well, you too. Wish I could see you, but I'm looking at the picture of the dove there, but I don't see my friend Perry Atkinson, but I guess that's okay. Hopefully you're not as old as I am, so you probably look a lot better.
Well, it's okay. This isn't a beauty contest on either side.
No, I gave up on that a long time ago.
Well, David, Measure 91, boy, you have taken this one on with a passion. What drew you to this one?
Well, as I mentioned in one of my previous emails, I don't think that there is a more important issue to impact the state of Oregon, the people of Oregon, all the people of Oregon, any more than this issue. It shouldn't be on there. It's funded by billionaires and George Soros from back east, out of state in Colorado, a guy by the name of Lewis, and we know what he's about. He's dead now, but his family's taken his vision on. So literally a couple $1 million have come in from outside the state to propagandize you. You may be receiving some of that mail already, or on TV or radio, but they're going with the typical big establishment plan strategy, which is to so inundate the media with their point of view and their arguments, many of which are very specious, and I have been trying to address that. So to answer your question, it is the most important. Yes, we'd like to see a new governor. We definitely need a turn of control in the legislature. We need to change some congressmen, but I think that chance is very difficult right now. But Oregonians and Christians need to recognize how damaging this is. And I think some of the things that I sent recently prove that. The problem is getting people to forward. I keep asking people to forward my emails to their friends list, and they don't do it. And that's the problem in Christianity, is that we just read things and assume that somehow I have a magic wand that I can spread this sparkle dust across the state and everybody's home. Can't do it without them, without your readers.
Well, let me encourage you to get David's emails and to take this resource and this information. He's done his homework, and do share it with your friends, especially now as the voter pamphlets come out this week, and soon the ballots will be out. David, are we learning anything? Have we learned anything from Colorado and Washington State on this issue?
Well, we'll definitely find out. We have, those of us who do our homework and research, and of course that's what I do with my time, is pay attention to these issues and do the research. And there's some gallant people, a handful of people who are fighting this issue, and they're doing an absolutely fantastic job. And they're providing the information. And I think you may have seen my email that I sent out, I believe, yesterday afternoon by, it was about the Oregonian.
Right.
And the two doctors up there, not just up there, but one of them retired, but both of these guys have real credentials. And they are telling us how much they have learned, not only prior to that, but since that time in Colorado. And it's not good. It's not good. The things that we should be learning, the question is, are we learning? Some of the editorial pages in the more conservative areas of the state are recognizing with the information that we're sending them that it is not a good bill. This is not good for Oregon. And so they're saying, wait, because the information that is coming out, particularly out of Colorado, is damning. And so it's not, Oregonians are going to be foolish if they buy into the propaganda from George Soros and the ilk that want to change drug policy in this country, starting state by state if they have to. So have we learned? Yes, we have learned. And there's several things having to do with driving, having to do with the impact on young people. In the state of Colorado, they're selling what are called edibles, which has to do with candy and cookies and all kinds of things that look like gummy bears and whatnot. And they're jamming them with marijuana for the kids. So these doctors have shown how debilitating this is for younger people in particular. And the marijuana today that is available is 300 to 800% more powerful than it was back in the Woodstock days. So yeah, those things are a real problem. And folks need to go to that website. It's Vote No on 91. Let's see, www.voteno91.com. And they have that information there as well. So it's out there. it's a problem of getting it out to enough people so they're not persuaded that this is a great idea.
All right, a couple of things come out of this, David. First of all, is it true that the Bend Bulletin came out against it?
Yes, it is. And it's also true the Daily Astorian, Eastern Oregonian. I think the Klamath Falls newspaper has come out against it, and we're expecting more. I do have an email that's a bit private at this point, but the Oregon Pediatric Association, pediatric pediatricians, they are already on record, at least with us, as coming forward, and they're opposing it as well. And there's also going to be a vote coming up this Friday on the 10th by the Oregon Medical Association and to oppose it as well. They're going to have a vote on that. So it's not real clear yet, but I'd be surprised if they didn't come out opposing it as well.
Well, so there's some good momentum here, and I know that some counties and even certain cities now, in preparation in case it does pass, that they want to pass a fairly heavy tax. Now they're doing that in advance of the vote, which could be a deterrent.
Yes, they're trying to protect themselves from what they see possibly coming down the road, and they're right to do that. But just stop and think about this a little bit. Just because now you can go and buy it, here in the state of Oregon, it is so easily available, and you can have so much more. You can have 8 times as much as Colorado has allowed. Instead of 1 ounce, it's 8 ounces. It's just virtually out of control. And what they're recognizing is you can have up to 4 plants, marijuana plants, in your home. You can grow them there if you want to. So with all that's available, why will people go buy it when they can build it? Okay, when they can plant it in their home and grow it, why go buy it? So in terms of revenue, producing revenue, it's not going to produce near the revenue that these guys are saying. That's a come on. That's a propaganda piece that's projected like the CBO at the feds, and we wind up finding out it's 5 to 10 times more expensive than they even projected. Well, it's going to the cost as far as I'm concerned is clearly, the doctors are concerned, and the people who deal with this, the prevention specialists around the state and the counties know that the price you pay is the effect that it has on our young people. Because 25 and under, the impact on the brain is far more dangerous, more difficult, and harder to overcome later in life. And some of these things that happen show up later in life. And so are we really willing to play with our kids' lives emotionally, psychologically, with what we're doing with this drug? Why add another drug? We've got a problem with alcohol, got a problem with tobacco. And the same strategy that the tobacco people use to get young people smoking is the same strategy that the marijuana people are using, and hardly anybody knows about it. And if you go to a site called Edventi, and that's spelled EDVENTI.com, there is the greatest video there. It's expensive, but Oregonians, if they get it instead of the $149, they'll get it for $99. I arranged that with them here this last week to get a special price, but that DVD, which is late at this point, it shows exactly what has happened and why we should not do this, because it's the same strategy. They're working psychologically to get our kids to use marijuana, and it's a gateway drug, and that's what they're doing. Same thing as the tobacco industry. Yeah, it's very damning.
Couple things here, David. First of all, at the end of the day, it is a mind-altering drug. Number 2, we're not regulating it like we would tobacco. Number 3, those who are using it, they're driving our cars. They could be some of our medical personnel. We don't know who's using this and the responsible jobs and positions they may be in, and how that could alter their performance. And thirdly, we don't know what the cost is going to be on municipalities, the state, and otherwise to enforce it.
Yeah, and those are just some of the sideline things that are coming up. The more reality-based things that we need to be aware of. For instance, there are 2 Denver deaths tied to marijuana use already in Colorado. With Measure 91, there's no established rules with regard to what is considered intoxicated driving for marijuana. And those fatalities I wish I could get all the information on my site, but right now I can't do that. But I'm trying to put it out for people and send it to you as well. You may want to put some of it up. I don't know whether you can or not to make it available to people. But the stats are climbing. In fact, 17%, the support for marijuana or for the bill in marijuana has gone down 17% in this short year already because of the things that they're seeing happening on the streets. And in Denver in particular, there's over 500 of these stores now where you can buy marijuana and all this other stuff in the various forms and the edibles. So, okay, if people can walk in there and do that and buy that, they can take it home. And kids, if it's out, kids will find it, and it'll look like gummy bars. It'll look like, candy bar or something. And I did send out. Did you read the one I sent out with Maureen Dowd of the New York Times?
Right.
And what she did, and she ate that candy bar, and it just about threw her off the deck. And so, anyway, there's plenty of evidence that this is dangerous business, and we need to think not more than a dozen times before we ever pass a bill like this.
Dave, a couple questions. Couple of other questions. Number one, have you seen any polling on the issues yet? And number two, what's been the response from churches?
I have no idea what the response is from churches. They're not telling me what they're doing, but I'm certainly sending this stuff to these pastors on my list, and I've got a pretty extensive list. So here again, I don't know that you can count on anything from the churches because they're not saying what they're going to do. They never do. They're not coming out and telling us what they're doing, and so it's a void. So that's part of the reason for the value of this interview is that the people themselves can hear this and hear what's going on. But I am sending this information to churches, and it's I sent out a fact sheet included with this 1,600 letters that we sent from Restore America to pastors, evangelical Bible-believing pastors all over the state of Oregon. It was about this election, it was about voter registration, and it was about also with one page of fact sheet on No on 91, with all the stuff that they really need. They can go and research this. It's not that hard, but it's going to come down to, like it usually does, do we Christians turn out to vote? Are we going to talk to our friends? Let me just give you one little stat here that's very troubling to me, is that yesterday I sent out an appeal for support because, frankly, I've been paying so much of this out of my own pocket, and I don't have it anymore. We've run out. And so I sent out an appeal to 1,980 people yesterday, and albeit it's less than 24 hours, but of that 1,980, only 212 people even opened it. And of the 212 people that I asked to make a sacrificial gift to support our efforts here and pay for the things that we've got going, only 2 people responded. Only 2. This is what I run into year after year, is that people love to get the information. People pat me on the back and say, boy, we love that information. But when it comes to supporting a Christian ministry, it's so important to them, they don't do it. Mm-hmm. And so we fall right through the crack. We can't do all the things that we would like to do. And that's atrocious. And worse yet, not one person forwarded my emails to anybody else. Not one. And this is typical all the way down the line. And so we lose because we don't talk to one another. We won't invest a minute or two to forward an important piece of information to their neighbors or to their friends or to their list. What is the matter with us? We've lost our savor. We're no longer salt. That's why we lose, Perry. Yeah. Is because we don't have that attitude of David to Goliath. We don't have that attitude of the Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. We've lost that. So if we're not being led by our pastors to do these things and the pastors aren't demonstrating it themselves, then the people continue to do nothing. They're sheep.
All right. With that said, let me encourage you that, first of all, go to the Restore America, and you want them to go to the info one?
.org.
Okay.
RestoreAmerica.org.
Okay.
They can go there.
Yeah.
They can also go to letsvoteoregon.com. Letsvoteoregon.com. But go to our website. Sign up. You can sign up. You can get the emails.
Support it.
There's not much time left.
Yeah.
We've got, 7 days before voter registration's over with.
7
We ought
days.
to be pushing so hard for Christians for voter registration, because the vote this time around is so important. And it's time to change the legislature. It's time to change the governorship. Why Oregonians allowed this guy back in after 8 years before, they didn't learn anything. And it didn't need to happen. There's enough Christians out there who could have made a difference. And that's the truth also in Measure 91.
All right. Again, restoreamerica.org. You can get the resources there. Let's support Dave and his efforts. He sends this stuff out regularly. And I tell you what, his emails are impacting. And let me encourage you, number one, forward them on to friends. Number two, print them out and give a copy to your pastor in case they didn't receive it or print it out. Just print out a copy and say, hey, pastor, read this, and get on with it. But Measure 91, we got the voter pamphlets coming out this week, David. I think there are three measures that's going to drive the voters this year. Measure 90, which is the whether or not we're going to do away with do away with closed primaries. Both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are saying no to this, so that's kind of good news. Measure 91, which is this one, the legalizing marijuana in the state of Oregon. And then Measure 92, the GMO issue. I think those three issues are going to bring a lot of people out, not to mention the fact that the House and the Senate could be taken over by Republicans.
Well, let's hope so, because they control the agenda. And what people don't understand is that first vote that they take in there is who's going to be for the Speaker of the House or who's going to be the President of the Senate. And if it's a Democrat, that whole agenda, the Republicans, any bills that they put in there are probably not going to even get heard or go to committee. So the whole agenda is controlled. So if you want a more conservative Oregon, you want more accountable government, then you've got to go to more conservative people, elect them, and put them in office. So the legislature is important. The governorship is important. These bills, did you also mention the driver's license?
Yeah.
The bill did you mention that? I must have missed that. But that's extremely important. They're going to give them out free to people who are undocumented and can't prove their citizenship.
Right.
That's just crazy.
Yep.
So hopefully that'll drive the percentage of turnout up higher.
Well, David, thank you. You're an inspiration and delight. Again, let me encourage you, folks. Go to restoreamerica.org. Now, there's a whole lot of information on that website. A whole lot of information. Pastors, I got to encourage you that this website is all the information you need to be a patriot pastor. And you can take a look at it there. But let's support Dave. Send him an offering. restoreamerica.org. Let's help him out. Thank you, David. Let's stay in touch. The countdown begins this week as the voter pamphlets come out. And let's stay in touch and see what we can do to get people to not only get out and vote and register to vote, but make sure they vote the right way.
You bet. Hey, build that wall.
Oh, you bet. God bless you, pal. All right, we'll be right back.
You too.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Well, delighted to have back in the studio a good old friend. I'll say O-L-E. Could be O-L-D, but we'll just go with O-L-E. Anyway, Bill Gallagher is with us today, pastor and a counselor, and he's brought with him Jaime Hazlett. She's an attorney, and they're here to talk about a very special workshop coming up, Divorce Recovery Workshop, which will be held October 23rd, 24th, and 25th out at the Trail Christian Fellowship. And let me encourage you to think about attending this and pray about it. Bill and Jaime, nice to have you.
Nice to see you, Perry.
Good to see
nice
you.
To be
Thanks for
here.
having us.
Well, so what's this about? What are you doing here?
Well, Perry, about every year and a half, I like to host a divorce recovery workshop. Being one that has been personally touched by it myself, being raised in a single-parent home to the age of 10 at least, and then myself, unfortunately, going through divorce as a pastor 13 years ago, now happily remarried. So I have a real heart for people. It is quite traumatic. and concern for children. And so I thought that the church, if anybody needs to speak out and walk along people that are broken, it should be the church. And so that's why we do it.
Wow. And Jaime, what draws you to it?
Well, my husband says there's a correlation between the bad reality TV I watch and doing divorce work. But no, I grew up in a household where my parents are still happily married, so did my husband. We believe in marriage, but it doesn't mean that people aren't getting divorced in the church, and I want to be there to effectively and aggressively represent them and make sure that they have all the information they need if that's the choice that they're going to make. So, I think a lot of people that are Christians kind of make the mistake of maybe meekly sitting back, not doing anything, not exercising their rights. And I just want to make sure everybody's well informed and comes to the table and has a fair resolution.
This whole issue, Bill, for years the church just didn't talk about it.
Yep.
It was just behind the door. And then all of a sudden when it came out, it exploded. And the numbers certainly suggest that the church has got a problem in this area.
Very much so.
Now we're trying to run and get in front of it. Are we succeeding?
Well, let's just hope that we are. We're probably running neck and neck with the standard statistics of divorce, which is 50%. Church used to be way low below that, but now we're neck and neck. And so I hope we're addressing it and making some headway.
So what's your theme of the workshop? What are you trying to do here?
Well, I've been tempted in the past to actually change the name to There's Hope After Divorce, or There's Life After Divorce. So my main message, although I talk about very practical issues, but the main message is life goes on after divorce, especially if you have Christ, and there's hope. And this too shall pass. These hard, traumatic, horrible days will pass. There's hope after divorce is my main theme.
Jaime, as an attorney, I mean, I realize you probably get all the emotions in your office, depending on what side you're representing and how this goes. But at the end of the day, legally, is it pretty cut and dried?
It's, family law is one of those kind of nebulous things. It's on a case-by-case basis, and we're not talking necessarily about just numbers. We're talking about people's kids, what's going to happen with those kids for the rest of their lives. So it's not. I think there's a great line, nobody wins in divorce. It's degrees of losing. It's very true. A good settlement, a good result is actually where both people end up a little bit unhappy. And that's the truth, because you're both coming from a one-parent or one household, two incomes maybe, equal time with the kids, and there's less to go around, less income to go around, less time with the kids to go around, and it's going to feel unfair to both parties. So, my job is to set expectations realistically, meet and exceed those expectations.
Wow, big issue. I don't quite frankly know how to dive into all of it, but let's deal with, first of all, how big of a problem is it in Southern Oregon? Do we have any idea?
Well, I believe we're 11% of the state are divorces in the Rogue Valley. We hover around 11, 12, 1,300 divorces a year, so about 100 a month in the Rogue Valley.
There was a U.S. News and World Report last year that ranked us 4th in the nation in terms of divorces. So there was actually a great article that Mail Tribune did on it, and I was quoted in it about how many divorces run through my office. And it's just incredible, the number of divorces that we have here locally.
Is there a theme more so than one theme more so than another as to the reasons for divorce? How would you rank the reasoning for divorce? I mean, the one we hear the most of, irreconcilable differences. I mean, that takes in a big.
Well, that's the generic
that's the
statement that you find on decrees. A decree template is irreconcilable differences. As a pastor and a counselor, I find probably the highest percentage comes by way of affairs or third-party
Infidelity. Huh?
Infidelity. I find that, of course, the underlying overarching complaint is I'm not happy anymore. But usually by way of affairs is what I deal with. What about you?
I find money is the big offender, and really where that starts is resentment. And a big one I'm seeing now is a shift of one party, maybe the woman actually working, and the man not working or not contributing as much, and the resentments that build up surrounding that. It's a reminder to me, I think, whether it's money, whether it's affairs, that all of that starts in our thought life as Christians. Yeah. And, you know, I see that play out every day. I see people lose control of their thought life, and it bleeds out into the marriage. So that's huge. And if you can start by taking captive those thoughts and really taking the time not to resent that other person and hold things against them, that's where everything starts to unravel.
Communication's key. You know, it's interesting on the affair side of things. In the 80s and 90s, one of the greatest threats I have found was high school reunions. That a lot of problems came out of that. Now, the abuse of social media.
Definitely.
It's huge, huge. Would you say as well? Yeah.
Wow. Now, long before they would need a divorce recovery workshop, you probably, Jaime, get a phone call, I'm thinking about divorcing, and you probably get the call, we're not getting along. Sure. Have you seen cases of reconciliation where you can put the pieces on the table and deal with it?
Yes, I have, for sure. I do something really also that maybe for some is a little controversial, but it's actually biblical, 1 Corinthians 7, where Paul says that man, woman must not divorce, but if they do, they must remain unmarried or be reconciled. Now, he's talking specifically Christian couples. So I deal with the but if they do piece, and I do something called managed separations that has kept a lot of people off the divorce steps and have seen success by that, where they're just about ready to kill one another. There's no love left. They separate, generally for the kids' sake. We work on the issues that led to the separation, and I've seen success with them being restored anywhere from 4 months to a year later.
Wow.
So I try to try to get them to see the reality and the danger of divorce.
So what's the motivating factor for them to submit to you? Is it spiritual?
Well, I think so. I think that they want to do God's will. I think the ultimate motivating factor is the children, as it should be. And at least initially, I think, matter of fact, I think the Lord actually uses the children to keep people together when they would, in any other venue, divorce. So I think what I find is the children, and then maybe they don't want to walk out on God's will. Those would be the two factors.
How about you, Jaime? Have you been able to facilitate a reconciliation?
I have, definitely. I try to gauge, I've gotten a pretty good idea when people come in of, are they emotionally ready to do this? And two, are there really the reasons there? Or are they just telling me a lot of superficial things that really, I'm not in love anymore. I don't feel a certain way anymore. That's a sign to me that this is just a fleeting thought, and there's going to be the same problems with the next relationship. And maybe they need to go back and do some work. So I'm the first one to tell people, I think you need to go back and try counseling. I don't think you're ready. And I can't think of an instance where I haven't had someone say, you're right, I need to. So a lot of situations where that's happened, and I tell everybody when we meet that I believe in marriage, that my happiest day would be to see them come in and tell me that they've worked things out and that they don't need me. And I've had cases where I thought there was no way people were going to get back together, and they walk in on the day of their court trial and they're holding hands and they're getting back together. So, I think that as long as you leave that possibility open and let the couple know, there's no point where you've gone too far that you can't turn back and say, I want to give this a shot. That's very important to me in my practice.
All right, let me take a break. When we come back, I got a couple of questions. I'll let you ponder them. One is, there's this myth out there, oh, well, the kids will survive. And then the other one is, it appears that the church, because it didn't agree or didn't like the whole issue of divorce, it suppressed it for so many years. Now they're not even taking somewhat of an advocate position to prevent it. They're just trying to feel how to deal with it, and maybe you can respond to that. So let me take a quick break. We'll be back with Pastor Bill Gallagher and Jaime Hazlett in just a moment, dealing with the subject of divorce and the Divorce Recovery Workshop coming up out at Trail, October 23rd, 24th, 25th. You can call Trail or go online at Trail Christian Fellowship and sign up for the workshop. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and with us today is Pastor Counselor Bill Gallagher and Attorney Jaime Hazlett, and we're talking about Divorce Recovery Workshop, which is coming up on October 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and it's going to be held in the Fireside Room out there at Trail Christian Fellowship. You can go online at trail.org, sign up there, or give them a call out at the church, 858-3501. And Bill, quickly, just do a highlight. What are you going to do those 3 days?
Well, those 3 days, I primarily do some training, and then we have some facilitators from our church that have gone through divorce too, so we work with individuals. But I talk on subject matters such as dealing with the ex-spouse, planning for your future, single parenting, adjusting to the devastation emotionally, forgiveness.
And what do you deal with?
I get into kind of two areas. One is I talk about the ways that Christians sometimes make big mistakes in divorce. So I try to get specific to the ways I see my Christian clients, either be hesitant or make concessions that they shouldn't make. And then I get into kind of the top 5 myths that I see in divorce, to kind of expel those myths and get into the truth of what actually is going on in a divorce process.
All right, I want to come back to the subject of children. And you said earlier, Bill, that sometimes it's the children that will hold a marriage together through the choppy waters, and rightfully so. But there is a myth, and maybe you both cover it, that, oh, well, the kids are resilient, they'll get over it. In all my years of ministry, I have never, ever seen children come through divorce okay.
Never.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right. I have a friend, I'll be quick with this. He was a friend of mine when I was pastoring in Eureka, and his parents got divorced when he was 15, okay? Yeah. The father got remarried to who would be his stepmother, and they were married for 30 years. Now the man is 45. The stepmother passes away, and he said, Bill, at the age of 45, my first thought was, I hope my parents get back together.
Wow. Wow. What do you say to a couple or an individual that thinks, well, the kids will get over it?
It's devastating for children. It's a death, and it's a death of an idea. It's now nearly impossible for them to have the room and ability to love both parents equally. And that's where I see parents just fail miserably, is when they don't give the child the room all they want, no matter what the other parent's done, no matter what the current parent's doing to each other, or even if they've failed, or on drugs or something like that, they still want to love both parents. And the biggest mistake I see people make is not giving the child the room to have those feelings and to love the other parent. And talking negatively about the other parent is just poison.
It's really bad. What I say about kids, along with what Jaime is saying here, it's a double loss for kids, especially if there's a remarriage. I've never met a child, barring severe abuse or drugs or violence in the home from the parents, I have never one time met a child that wished their parents got divorced, and very few I meet want the divorced parent to get remarried. And if they do, for children, it's a double loss.
Definitely.
All right, but the reality is they go ahead through the divorce anyway.
Yes.
And is there a recovery time for children? And if so, what should it look like?
Well, what I say is it takes 2 to 6 years to recover as an individual going through divorce, depending on how close you were to the person, the tenure of the divorce. Children, I can speak of my own son, who's in his young 20s, it's been 13 years. He is not quite recovered yet, and he's 13 years. What do you think?
It depends on the age, and it depends on the parents. You know, if the parents really work with the child, get the child into counseling, do their best to encourage the other parent's relationship, it can go smoother for children.
Yes.
You know, but the age really helps. Kids have a big loyalty struggle at certain ages. So younger children are actually more able to love and accept both parents and hopefully move on more quickly. And the same goes for step parents getting introduced. Older children typically, especially in that high school age, tend to choose sides. And it's more difficult for them actually to love and accept both parents because maybe they have a little more understanding of the adult issues that led to the divorce, and they feel hurt and betrayed.
All right, part of helping the children through, I mean, let's say you have the adults and they understand that the kids are the innocent victims here. They take responsibility for that. Part of that responsibility is how they treat the ex-spouse.
Oh, that's huge.
And if the fight goes on, even though they recognize they're trying to do their best for the kids, they're probably putting gas on the fire, aren't they?
I say in the workshop, Jamie deals with this all the time, no doubt, to the parent, well, I say to all divorced parents, that if you verbally criticize their parent, your ex-spouse, their parent, and you continue to do that, I promise you, your child will end up in their arms, not yours. That's a promise.
I'll say by experience of counseling, bingo, you're spot on.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah. Would you agree with that, Jamie?
Yeah, and another mistake is letting the child come over and interrogating or asking what's going on at the other parent's house. Encouraging the child to talk bad about the other parent. Parents will say things like, oh, well, they just said it. They just came out with it. No, you sat and you let them do it, and they want to please you, and they love you, and they think this is entertaining you or making you happy. And it's devastating to them. You're putting them in a loyalty bind. Yeah.
All right. The divorce is over. They're living in separate places. There's some time and space here, and maybe, Bill, you can tell us what that time and space should be. But a friend comes into their life and is potentially remarried. What would you say in light of that if there's children in the home?
Well, Dr. Laura, you know Dr. Laura?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what she says. And I used to resent her, but now I see the wisdom of her counsel. She would say, if you have children in your home, you don't get married until they're up and out.
Yeah.
As our good friend Kevin Lehman says, families don't blend, they collide.
Yeah.
I would say, first of all, let me just back up and say 87% of people that get remarried within 2 years of divorce get divorced again. Almost 9 out of 10 that get remarried within 2 years of the divorce get divorced again.
Wow.
That's called rebounding. You've
okay.
heard that
So
word.
when's the rebound over? From third year on?
Well,
Fourth year
you know,
on?
there's different formulas. I don't know. I say the longer you wait, probably the better. But I would say year 3, 4, 5, 6, and onward is best. It's best if you don't have children. Yeah. Ideally, sometimes, you know, the Lord, and in my own life, you know, He allowed us to blend. But I'm telling you, it was hard work. It was hard work. Nuclear family's hard work. Loving someone else's children, real hard work. Real hard work. Dr. Laura was onto something.
You're shaking your head?
Definitely. It maybe not reality though. I think most people do get remarried, and couples that I've seen do it as successfully as possible waited at least 6 months to introduce the children.
Yes.
At least a year to be in a serious relationship or even talk about getting remarried. And I'm talking about introducing the children, not time from the divorce. I think they need at least a year or two to, one, work out the kinks of working together and co-parenting their children, but two, to grieve and make sure that they're making informed, responsible decisions about their new relationship.
Yeah.
Wow. This is big. So I'm going to run out of time here. Let me just recap a couple things. You can see how important this workshop is. October 23rd, 24th, and 25th at Trail Christian Fellowship. It'll be from 6:30 to 9, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday from 9:30 till 12:30 in the Fireside Room. You can go online at the Trail Christian Fellowship website, sign up there, or give them a call at 858-3501. And is there a charge here?
Yes, Bear, I'm glad you asked. The cost is only $25, but we do have a scholarship fund. We would never turn anyone away if they didn't have $25. Okay. We have refreshments. We serve them breakfast on Saturday, lunch on Saturday. What Trail wants to be is a safe place. We want to throw a lifesaver out to anyone going through this. We just want them to, we have child care available. We just want to love on these people for a weekend and get them away from the heartbreak and make it a safe place. So if they don't have the $25, it doesn't matter.
All right, so go online at the Trail Christian Fellowship or give them a call, 858-3501. Of course, that's area code 541. Some of the topics here.
878-3501. Did I have the wrong number there?
Oh, 878?
878.
I'm sorry. Well, anyway, you know Trail. Everybody knows Trail. All right.
Okay.
Handling the loss, dealing with the ex-spouse, the do's and don'ts of helping your children cope, forgiveness, the key to a new beginning, getting your life in order. You do have a future, and discussions and Q&A, all that. Just some of the topics going on. All right, I'm going to run out of time here. Got about a minute. What do you?
I also want to mention, anyone that comes will also get a free consultation with me. Yep. So that's an hour long in my office, $100 value. And there's also a question and answer period there with me.
Thank you, Jamie, for making that available.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful. All right, quickly, about a minute left. What do you say about qualifying the next potential spouse in a divorcee's life so they don't repeat the problem?
Premarital counseling.
A lot of it, huh?
Need someone you trust, knows the Lord, knows the Word of God, that has their best interest at heart. They need history. I tell them on dating and remarriage, I tell them to do a historical search on that individual. I got some wild stories when they don't do that. To do a search on that individual who has swept them off their feet. Yeah. That's qualification number one.
What do you say about this online dating stuff?
It can be wonderful. It can be a disaster, like any dating situation.
I used to say that when people were on online dating, I heard a chainsaw in the background. But in the last, I'd say 10 years, in the last 10 years, there's been a little bit more success.
Oh, really? Okay.
A little more success.
All right, check it out. Coming up the 23rd, 24th, and 25th out at Trail Christian Fellowship. Check it out on Trail's website or 878-3501. Give them a call. There is a $25 charge, and if you can't afford that, they'll work something out because they don't want you to be turned away. And this is an incredible resource, and Jamie offering 1 hour of free counseling in addition to all that, and counseling there. So thank you both for being here today. God bless you both for doing it. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.